Welcome to the new Overlords Podcast. I'm Max, that's Sema, and we talk about video games up in here. No. Coming up, we're going to catch up on Planet Crafter and how it's much deeper and cooler than it seems at the start, even though you might think it's cool before you start as well. We'll talk about that and why. I have thoughts. We're also going to talk about Legend of California, Jeff Kaplan's new game that I did not get into the closed alpha on. I'm kind of salty about that, but they didn't actually have very many people in the closed alpha, but they did stream a bunch of it, so we'll talk about that. And then there's a bunch of other new fun game news because April is upon us, and there are games coming out in April that I do want to play. But before we do that, let's say hello there to Sema. Hello, Sema. How are you? How is it going? How are you?
I'm great. It's going well. In fact, it is like light out and it's getting warm. I'm happy.
Yeah, 30. It went back down to 30 degrees here today, so got that going for us, which is nice.
Oh, we're supposed to get into the 60s. I didn't check it, but like that's
Oh,
yeah.
2 days ago we hit like 77, I think.
Oh my
And
God.
now it's 30 again.
I haven't had anything like that.
That's Chicago for you. We get everybody's weather in the country, the hottest of the hot and the coldest of the cold, sometimes all in one day.
Have you done connections yet today?
I have not done connections yet today. I've been doing connections. I do connections. So this is a great game. Everybody should play connections. My favorite game. I'm on a streak since we could talk about my New York Times streaks. It was only about a month ago that I started. I think it's been 22 days. I actually finally made an account, right? Day 2 of me finally making an account to track my streaks, I failed the Wordle. There was like 20 words that it could have been. Yeah. I tried to, but that's it. So that's the only one I've failed out of the 3 games that I've played since then. But it'll never be at 100%.
No.
Connections,
unless you start a new account.
Connections, I'm working on the meta achievements of, Purple First and Reverse Rainbow and how many of those I can get.
Streaks are bad though, right?
Yeah, I need to just embrace breaking the streak. In fact, for some reason, it says I skipped a day 2 days ago, so my daily streak got broken, even though I played every single morning. I must have done something else some morning or not noticed, but that's fine. Then I was like, oh, good. Now I don't need to worry about,
I got all upset like 2 or 3 weeks ago and Stask heard about this, but I had a Wordle streak of almost 200 and I forgot to do Wordle one day. So then I was like, okay, I'm never playing any ever again. But now I just make sure I skip it every few days.
Right. Because it gets you off of that bucking bronco and like takes that out of the back of your head that it's like a thing that you have to do.
I just freaking forgot to do it. Like I logged in this, the next day and I'm like, it says, oh, welcome to, Wordle. Let's see if you win. I'm like, what do you mean?
Streak number, day 1.
198, whatever.
What are you talking about? Yeah. So that is a great video game. It's sort of beyond video game, but that is a great game. A lot of people in the greater internet are kind of down on connections. I think it is amazing. It is one of my favorite games of all time.
I like it.
But
so today I won't say what I was going to say since you haven't done it.
I'm going to start doing it in the morning, I think, because I miss these kind of conversations, and it's happened more than once recently even. So I'm going to start doing it in the morning instead of... I used to save it till night as the last thing because when my daughter was living here over the summer for a couple months between apartments, she would sometimes do it with me, and we'd usually do it in the evening. And so then I always saved it in case we were going to do it together. But she hasn't lived here in months now, and that doesn't make sense, so I don't know why I'm still saving it. But we have other video game news, some fun video game news to talk about, so let's get to that.
Good news, everyone!
I did not get into the Legend of California alpha that happened over the weekend, but I did pay attention to it, and I did watch some of the live streams that happened. In particular, there was some famous streamer, and Jeff Kaplan got on and did basically co-op play of the game for hours and talked about the game. They talked a lot about, and everybody wants to do this with Jeff Kaplan, they talked a lot about WoW. They're like, oh, you remember that time? What do you know? Why did you guys do this? And oh, do you remember and Jeff seems happy to talk about it. He wasn't like, oh, I'd rather not talk about that. I rather he wouldn't have talked about that. I wanted to hear about this game. And I'm not hearing all of the things I want to hear about it just yet. In fact, I even resorted to trying to type into Twitch chat and ask some questions. But they can't answer the questions because they're busy chatting and talking and, making an entertaining stream. So then it's players that are trying to answer the questions. And what do they know? I don't believe them. Yeah. So it looks great. It looks like it's got great
Trees
basics.
falling down is fantastic.
Right.
I like that. Yeah.
Right. And the chopping of the tree looked good. And the graphics look like what I would want. I don't know if there's a non-only hands mode. Probably not if some of what I think about this game is the case. So I'd prefer a third person mode. But if it's very PvP focused, then it's going to be likely first person. That's typically what a PvP game would resort to. And that's what I don't know yet. Is this ultimately a PvP game? And nobody knows. Nobody knows.
I expect it to be a PvP game just because Jeff Kaplan, and also he made that comment about Rust.
Mm-hmm. And he continues to talk about Rust in that way. So I would expect it to be that also.
And I'm kind of surprised people ask him so much about WoW when he was so instrumental in Overwatch, which is a PvP game.
Right. True. Good point. I don't know. Yeah. But I did not get into the alpha. I want to find out what the end game of this game is, and that's what we kind of don't see. What's the end game loop?
Right.
Because it can't be just like killing more bandits forever. That's going to get boring and people are going to quit.
So remember that question, because I'm going to ask you about that when we get to Planet Crafter.
Okay. That is a good one. And I can talk about that. And what the difference would be. That's a good one. Because Planet Crafter, you finish. I think that's going to be the difference. If this is a game that you're supposed to finish and be done, I do not expect that that's what this kind of game is supposed to be. So then what is your loop? And we could compare and contrast with like Ark and Rust and those kinds of games. Also, in game news, coming soon. So this is also sort of like coming soon news, but I put it in before the coming soon news. Now, I didn't relegate it to coming soon because I'm excited about it. Starfield's getting another update. So this is both additions to the base game and a DLC being released. The DLC is the story part, and the additions to the base game are adding some things that people have been interested in and asking about for quite a while. The key thing, which everybody's talking about and writing articles about, is seamless travel between the planets within a system. So when you warp into a system, you kind of had to just like, if you needed to go from, say you're in the Sol system and you need to go from Earth to Mars, which you do in the game, you would just click on Mars in your overhead map and your ship would just do a little cutscene and you would end up at Mars. And then you're doing things kind of like in a little zone that's where you warped into, and things might happen, pirates might show up and that kind of thing, but you weren't really like flying around and exploring. Some people didn't get that sense. I thought it was fine. But people complained that I can't just like point my ship at the moon and fly there. Well, now you can. And they give you, you're kind of like at a fast pulse engine speed or whatever. So it's not going to take you 10 months or whatever the case may be. But people are real excited about that. They are including an autopilot type system. So if you point, if it's still going to take you a couple minutes to get to Mars, you can get out of your seat, you can turn it on, turn your drive on, point it at Mars, get out of your seat and do stuff in your ship, which you do in Starfield, depending on how you've configured your ship, because you might have crafting going on in there of like food and weapons and doing stuff, organizing your inventory. Your ship can potentially be a home. And then they also teased some other things. There's gear upgrades. There's a new advanced material called something like Material X. What is it? Yeah, X-Tech. X-Tech to get like advanced weapons with, cool modifiers on them. some, they haven't really clarified, but Vasco, I think I even have a Vasco sound clip. I should have played that. Vasco talks about needing your outposts more and more, which is something that they wanted in the beginning, but didn't get into the initial release. One of the things that they had planned was as you get further and further into the outer rim, out of sort of away from Earth, you were supposed to have to build outposts to refuel your ship along the way. They didn't put that in. They found that it wasn't fun. They talked about that, and it was sort of disruptive to the gameplay. However, a lot of people wanted it, and it would have made outposts have a much bigger purpose than they currently do in the game. There's a little bit of a hint that some of that may be coming back. And then finally, the DLC is story stuff. And it's the story of the Terran Armada and them overuse of robots and rogue robots run amok, and you have to go and solve that. So that, I like rogue robot stories. So I am fine with that. Starfield to me feels really good when you're just out shooting things, and if you just get to go shoot a bunch of robots, I like that. That is a thing I like to do. So I'm excited about this. When did I say it's coming? I did not. Did I put the date in here? Probably not. Later this month. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. I think this is on Game Pass too, Sema, so you could jump in and play. A non-committal grunt from Sema.
Yeah, I do like that little whatever that little creature was.
That was one of their first pets that they're putting in the game. Yeah, and you have to like get it as a pet. It's like a space. It's like
I feel like
space whale larva or something.
in spite of it being sort of like a sci-fi creature type thing, they managed to make it cute, which Star Wars: The Old Republic has a lot of creature pets, but they don't seem to nail cute very much, which is why you'd want a pet.
In the still frame, it's not cute, but I think it's the animation that sells it.
Probably, yeah.
Because it gets up on its got like eight. It looks like a little slug with like 8 weird tentacle or 10 tentacle legs, but it gets up on its hind legs and it waves its little hands around, even though it doesn't have a head or a face.
Right.
That animation sells it so good. Boy, this is a lesson in how much animation brings to the table.
I mean, usually the way they make something cute is they give it really big eyes, and they managed it with no eyes at all.
Right. Yeah, not even a head or a face.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job, guys. So yeah, if you get into Starfield, Sema, you can get Millie Whale. It is a pet Millie Whale. You too can have a pet Millie Whale in your outpost. Isn't that great? And look at that, like the cherry blossom tree behind it.
Yeah, I like
some
that.
nice stuff. That leads us to other stuff that is coming soon that I'm excited about. So these are the things that are on my radar. This isn't all the things that are coming soon in April, but in order of release date, probably, unless I got it out of order. Soul Mask 1.0. I've talked about Soul Mask before and wanting to check out Soul Mask. It's another survival crafting exploration game. And the twist here, and a little bit of colony building. And the twist to Soul Mask is as you build up the followers in your colony, you can take over via this Soul Mask mechanic, take over one of your followers and go out adventuring as one of them. So it's looking, it looks interesting. And the fact that it's hitting 1.0 makes it time for me to jump in and try it. I expected I would have liked it anyway. I just didn't get around to it. I still like Azka.
I like that it's a different setting.
Right. It's that kind of Aztec-y kind of setting, which is cool. I'm really getting into it and really liking the survival crafting with the colony management. Timberborn was one that we talked about. That's just the colony management. The thing I like about this and Aska that's exciting to me, and we're going to talk about it in just a second, in a weird way with Masters of Albion, is you get the personal experience of being able to go out and explore as a character in addition to the colony management. Whereas in Timberborn, I liked it, but it's just straight colony management. It might as well just be building a factory.
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of cool. So let's jump ahead, just what the connection was. So this is a little bit out of order, of course, but Masters of Albion, I've been looking deeper and deeper into it. And one of the things I found in Masters of Albion, which is coming out on April 22nd, is, and this is the Peter Molyneux, what he claims is his masterpiece. I hear my voice crackling a little bit. I'm gonna have to ignore that. Masters of Albion, this is a God Hand game. So people that are familiar with those old school, I used to play these back on the Commodore 64. I really liked it. You could think of it as colony management, God Hand. In fact, the little characters in your village refer to your hand, the God Hand cursor as, "Hey, big hand, what's up?" But I found that you can actually swap back and forth between the big hand God control of the environment and system, and then taking over one of your little followers and playing in a, not first person, but like a third person as the character and run around. Like here,
you can make choices and stuff, even though the God Hand has told you what to do.
Yeah, you take control. Like a big battle happens, and you'll do some things in the big battle as the God Hand, almost like tower defense. But then you'll take control of one of your heroes and run around with a sword and shield and like kill the enemies directly.
Gotcha.
There's a little dungeon mine, and you might like build up your village, build up armor and weapons and equip everything, and then take control of one of the heroes that you've equipped and go down into the mine. And that might be the only way you can get down in the mine. I don't know if the God Hand can go down into the mine. It didn't look like it. So that, again, that swap back and forth between, let me have fun with the colony management, and when I get bored of that, let me drop into the first person, kind of more of like the first person experience of explore the world, have some fun, swing a sword, throw some fireballs around. That sounds cool. I like that. So that's cool. What else am I going to be having fun with this month, Sema? 2 other things, and then a possible third. So next up on April 17th, we're looking at Pragmata. We talked about Pragmata already, and you did a little bit further research into Pragmata. Why don't you
Well, I mean, yes. So
describe what you sort of found out?
when I watched the trailer like a couple weeks back, I was attracted to the idea of carrying the girl around in his backpack, who by the name is named Diana, and she's an android. But when I was watching a movie this week, which was Predator Badlands, the Predator carries around half a robot and he straps it to his back. And that reminded me of Pragmata, which also reminded me of, in our game, Star Wars The Old Republic, Jakaro carrying around C2D4, and then other Star Wars settings where they do the same thing, where, Chewbacca carries around C3PO, and also Luke carries around, well, this is not quite the same, but Luke carrying Yoda around, because he's a whole Yoda. He's not like half a Yoda.
Well, the girl's a whole girl, but she's not a girl.
She's a whole girl.
Yeah.
She's a whole girl. But she's also an android, like in these other examples, because in Predator Badlands, Thea character that gets carried around by the Predator she's an android.
Yeah.
She's missing the lower half of her body. But yeah. Yeah, so I'm like, I'm there for it. I like this theme.
Right. And I like what I'm seeing a lot from the graphical perspective. It just looks great. It reminds me a lot of Starfield, actually. But the robots and the graphics and the destructible environments and fighting the robots and the tech, the hard surface modeling of all the tech in your spacesuit and that kind of stuff. I just really get into that. The trick, the gimmick of the combat in this game is interesting, and that is what I'll need to sort of like play with and see how fluid it feels. You're shooting at these robots, right? And just straight off, they're very shielded and locked down, and your guns barely do any damage to them. The android girl has this way to hack the robots. And in the middle of combat, while combat's going on, her little hacking window will come up and it's like a 4x4 or 5x5 grid, and you need to like solve the little mini game, picking up like buffs and hacking the robot to get their shield down while combat is still happening. You do that little hacking mini game, and then it opens up vulnerabilities, so then your gun starts doing damage. That'll be really interesting. People have said it kind of flows and it kind of works. So
That
that's
kind of thing can go either
unique.
way, for sure. Sometimes I love a mini game. Other times a mini game is just in the way.
The fact that you have to do this mini game while a robot is trying to stomp you to death,
Yeah,
that's wild.
that could go wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. So I will be interested to try it and see how it feels. So yeah, I'm probably going to try it, but I may, because it's coming out on the 17th, I may reserve talking about it too much until it comes out. So I'll have to find something else to play over the weekend and not have a whole show talking about Pragmata before it even comes out. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to play over the weekend, because Soul Mask is the 10th, Pragmata is the 17th, and then the 22nd is Masters of Albion. And then somewhere around that, I didn't get an exact date, is a beta for the Expanse game. And that's another one that's looking amazing. That's not coming out till 2027 though. So if I didn't get around to playing that beta, it would be okay. We'll be talking about that next year. But they put out another gameplay trailer for the Expanse Osiris Reborn, and it's looking good. It's quite violent, which the Expanse wasn't nearly as violent as I mean, there was like battles and stuff. I mean, in the big battles, people certainly died. But if you're spending the whole time just like murdering people, it's going to feel not completely Expanse-like. But they've teased a bunch of things, and the environment and the world feel really Expanse-like from what we've seen from these trailers, which I really appreciate. So that's cool, Beltalowda. Sasake, boss man. We'll have to see how this turns out. I would love to get into the beta, and then we're still going to need to wait until next year to actually be playing it, though. So we'll see how it goes. And then the final thing, which I'll definitely be playing on April 28th, is Diablo 4 Lord of Hatred.
Mm-hmm.
That is finally releasing, and I already pre-ordered it. I know I'm going to play it. I always play through the story, and I really like what they're doing with Diablo lately. From a story and game, I mean, the story is just peripheral to the gameplay playthrough, but I don't play the seasons. I don't mind that I don't play the seasons or get into like leveling up all the things, but I am curious if I would want to change my main character, and then maybe I should, in preparation, level up a paladin. Paladins are so hot right now. They added 2 character classes. Paladin is one, and Warlock. What's the other? No, Warlock? Is it Warlock? I think it's Warlock. You're like controlling demons, and you turn yourself into a demon. The Paladin sounds interesting to me, and a lot of people say it plays really well. And you can play it right now if you pre-order. So I could play it. I could play it right now.
When
Eh,
could you play it?
What's that?
When could you play it? Could you
Now,
play it right now?
now, right now. In fact, at this moment, even now, I could be playing it. I had to confirm in my own brain what I was saying. I sometimes say things but don't actually listen to what I say, so then I have to say it again so that I can hear what I said.
I can relate. I sometimes don't listen to what you say also.
Touche. Yeah, so April's shaping up to be quite a fun little month for video games. Let's have some fun, Sema. What do you say? What do you maybe what we still haven't done a show on? is the
What?
Star Wars The Old Republic story. Maybe we should do that next week.
We have not. Yeah,
So
not at all.
l- put some notes in the comments, folks. What should we talk about next week? Should we talk?
Have you played the story yet? I haven't.
No. I didn't want to say that out loud.
Yeah, I didn't really want to either, but
I've been playing a
guess
crap load of Star Wars The Old
yeah,
Republic.
me too. I just when I log in, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I need to get to that," but I
Right,
haven't.
because I'm doing all the other things. I'm doing the season,
That that is
so.
the kind of player I am. There's thousands, millions of players who are story first. It's just not I'm just not that kind of player.
Right.
So I will do it, but
Zug zug, me not that kind of player. There's the paladin. Look, you're like all shiny and
bronzy. It's cool.
Yeah. All shiny and chrome, heading to Valhalla. All right. Fun stuff. We'll see what we're going to talk about. Tell us what else we're missing and what else I should play in the meantime, because we're going to talk a ton about Planet Crafter, but I'm kind of done with it, even though I played the crap out of that game. This podcast is brought to you by Garden and a Goat, the upcoming game from Contemplation Games. This week and this coming weekend, by the time you're hearing this, is the last weekend to jump in on our open beta on Steam. You can jump in and play now. I might put a couple little surprises in if I can get it done like tonight and tomorrow into the game, like maybe like one additional special variant for people to play with over the weekend. And then we would really love anyone that has played to get some feedback in. But go to the feedback form, fill it out. I think we've had 130 players that have played the beta. We can see in our metrics. Not even just downloaded the beta, but actually played it. So we could use some more feedback from everyone so we can tune things up, because big things are going to be happening for us in the next 2 months to get prepared for the Steam Next Fest in June. This podcast is also brought to you by Alea Iacta Est. That is the gaming community that Sema and I play with. A bunch of people in the chat room right now are also part of that gaming community. It's really fun. We do stuff every Tuesday night in Star Wars The Old Republic as an example, but there's a lot going on in WoW lately, as you could expect. And all of the other kind of like major MMOs in general. I shouldn't say that all of them, because it's not like old school RuneScape. I bet there's people playing it, but we don't have a guild dedicated in all of those places. But Final Fantasy, Lord of the Rings, ESO, Guild Wars, Star Wars The Old Republic, Star Trek Online, World of Warcraft, all of them, etc. This show is also brought to you by all of you out there watching, listening in the chat room right now. We really appreciate everyone, especially those of you that have been around for 600 episodes. I'm still a little surprised that is the number that we are playing with at this point. Crazy.
It is crazy.
All right. I did some crafting survival. Here we go.
I want to survive.
Say it again.
I want to survive.
Louder.
I want to survive.
Come on.
I want to survive.
Like you mean it.
I want to survive.
Louder.
I want to survive.
Yes.
I want to survive, Sema. And I want to survive in all of the survival games. This is one that's been in my backlog for a while to try to play, and this is Planet Crafter. But Planet Crafter 2.0 is on the cusp of release. You can go on Steam right now and switch over to their dev branch and play 2.0. It's not completely released yet. They're still doing some bug fixes, and that's why they don't mind people in there playing in their dev branch. They're up to like 2.003 right now, so they've done a couple builds past their 2.0 release candidate. But I played it. I played it, a ton of it. I played the crap out of it. I played over 50 hours over the course of 2 weeks. Some of that is AFK time, because you can just step away or you can be doing other things. In fact, a fair amount of it was so that the crafting will continue and the machines will continue to mine, because there's a fair amount of automation that happens. So yeah, let's talk about it. You want to hear about this, Sema? You want to hear a little bit about it?
I do, yeah.
All right, because we can compare and contrast and talk about the key, and I put this into the show title, the key really interesting bit that caught my attention when I started playing this game, because people said it's good. It's got good reviews, high reviews on Steam. So I'm like, okay, well, it's got to be a fair game. When you start the game, this is a game not unlike many other games, but much more dramatic in this game, where you start in a desolate landscape. This is not only that you start naked on the beach, you're in a capsule. It's the familiar trope, and so many games do this, where you're a convict of some kind, and you need to solve the survival challenge to win your freedom. A lot of games like to do that, and I don't mind it. That's a fine way to do it. So you need to terraform the planet to win your freedom, basically. So there's your objective. And as soon as you finish terraforming the planet, then you've done it. Good job. And I actually didn't pull the trigger on the final you're free button just yet. There's like one more thing I would potentially need to do. But close enough. I completed the terraforming of the planet. However, it's a desolate landscape, and because this is it's not a super high res game. It's not a super high detailed game, especially from an environment perspective. And when you strip everything out of an environment and you get rid of all the foliage and you get rid of all of the, like trees and animals and insect life and all of that, and you strip that out of an environment, any game is going to look somewhat, I almost, you could say, like unfinished or unpolished or desolate or low poly, and that's what you might think when you first start playing this game. And I did. And I figured, and this might be where you lose people, unfortunately. I figured, well, it's going to be the mechanics of the survival and the crafting that catch you. And you're immediately very, very busy. So it's not that. It's not like there's nothing to do. You're busy every single moment in this game of just like getting the next thing. And they do a good job of, now you need this next thing. And now you need to go pick up some more rocks. There's 5 different baseline elements. You need some more iron or magnesium, or because you got to make the next thing. And then you got to make storage to store all the things that you're picking up. And every single moment that you're playing the game, you're like clicking. So, and doing something that feels like you're getting something done. So it's not that there's nothing to do, or you're like lost and you feel like like you're in a desolate, mechanically desolate environment. But I did not like the look of the game at all when I started. I was like, look at this, I mean, it's somewhat of an exploration game even. That it's like all of the rocks that make up the walls of the cannon that you're in. You can almost like see the reuse of the asset that they just copied and pasted in a bunch of different places. And the landscape texture is just like the baseline mesh of the world with a basic texture on it. By the end of the game, that all changes. And if you look at the game at the end of the game, after you sort of like you're done playing, after you played for 50 hours, there's trees and plants and ground, lush ground cover and bugs and animals, and it's a whole different game. And that's weird. It's weird because how do you engage players to get the feel that they want to be living in this world for a long time when you're going to be starting out with the worst view of anything that you'll ever see?
I mean, that's kind of the issue I have with the survival games in general. But I know what you're saying. It's even more so when the world looks
right,
not enticing. That's why I think a trailer for games, should show the end game, not the end. I won't use the word end game, but like later on,
the destination.
Yeah. Well, when you do get it filled in, no matter what the game is.
This is very relevant because of Garden and a Goat, and the way Garden and a Goat works is every environment that you start with is desolate. It's the kind of like the same concept. it's not an exploration game, and then it's a much smaller environment because you're just like under this dome and you just need to sort of fill out this area. But
Yeah,
same
I mean, that's
thing.
why I like the later trailers for Garden and Go, because they start by showing you what you could build up to.
Yeah, I worked really hard to get like the first 10 seconds of that trailer to be the transition, sort of like each 25% further into the garden until it's the completed oak forest. And all of the animals are running around, and plants and decorations and a gazebo and that kind of thing within 10 seconds. Still, when you first get into the garden, and this is a challenge that we need to deal with as well, we need to make it engaging enough and make it pretty enough, even though it's empty and desolate. And we're working on that. And I like where we're at, especially since, right away you get to transforming. You put foliage down on the ground. It's one of the first things you do in the first minute of the game. Whereas here in Planet Crafter, that might not come for a dozen hours before there's any foliage on the ground.
Wow. Yeah.
So that's kind of like the really interesting bit mechanically of the game that I think is a real challenge for them. The gameplay itself is what sucks you in and gets in a little bit of the exploration that they do really good job in this game. And that's what kept me playing, certainly. You get dropped onto the planet. The other thing that's interesting about the environment is a lot of the areas of the environment are locked, but they're locked away behind progression in a very diegetic, which sort of like means an in the world reason, in that it's sort of like a frozen over environment. And there's these big chunks of ice, that are like blocking different areas, and you're like down in a big crater. And as you advance the terraforming, you're using heat as a key aspect and oxygenating the atmosphere, increasing the pressure. That ice starts to melt in different stages. And when it melts, it opens up a new area for you to go and explore. So I thought that was really a cool effect for them to block off and constrain the player in the beginning. The other way you're very constrained in the beginning is the survival seems lightweight, except for the fact that it is kind of like you're not surviving anything fighting you. So in that
So you're
way,
not in danger.
well, you could die very easily if you don't take care of your oxygen, your water, and your food. Your food is
Okay.
also your health. So if you run out of food, your health is ticking down. If you run out of oxygen, your health ticks down very fast, within seconds. And if you run out of water, you die. So you need to right away be finding sources of water and food. They give you some starting stuff in your capsule. Your capsule is also sort of like a little safe environment, and any little basic base capsule that you build has oxygen in it, and that fills up your oxygen meter instantly. But when you start with a level 1 oxygen pack, you can only go outside for maybe 30 seconds. You can then start crafting oxygen capsules, so that you click on that while you're out there. So you got like a couple minutes to go and explore before you need to craft more of these things or go find a safe haven. Same thing with food, same thing with water. In the late game, most of that gets solved, but your water meter still drops. You never solve it completely. So you can't go AFK in this game. Even sitting in your base, you'll die within 2 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 5 minutes if you tried to go AFK for 5 minutes. There's no real penalty for death. You'll drop some of your stuff if you die, but it'll just be sitting there in a chest and wherever you were. So if you go into your base and empty your inventory, this is what some people do when they just need all of their machines to be doing work. They'll just go and let themselves die over and over every 5 minutes because there's really no consequence.
Gotcha.
But you are constrained, and you do feel it in that you will die if you let your oxygen, your food, or your water go away for any length of time. But that does interesting things in exploration and constraining you, and wanting to get the upgrades that you can go farther and go longer. and then eventually to build a vehicle and to drive around in the vehicle that lets you go farther, faster. And eventually you get upgrades where you've terraformed the environment enough that you can breathe the air outside. So you basically don't need to worry about oxygen at that point. And then you don't need to craft or filter water. You can get an upgrade in the late game that allows you to drink from any of the lakes and ponds. So it kind of even solves that. And then food, as with all of the machines that you are crafting, you can get to automation. The late game also becomes a factory automation game. And there's a fair amount of depth associated with that. So you start getting mining equipment that mines automatically, so you never have to pick up a rock off the ground again. And the mining equipment, you can go drive over to it, and you do this for most of the game. Drive over to it, load up your vehicle, take it back to your base, put it in a machine that turns it into something you need. In the very late game, you get drones. And the drones is more of a console. You're not actually interacting with any particular drone. But you go to the console and you load it up with drones. You craft the drones at the console. Then any container or machine you go to, there's a setting on there for what either it supplies a thing or a set of things, or it demands a thing or a set of things. So if my crafter needs eggplants to craft the high-end food item, I can have a farm that supplies the eggplant and a crafting machine that demands the eggplant, and the drones automatically, with some travel time, go back and forth and move the things around. And through that, you can have long crafting chains to make bigger and bigger, more complex items, so that you're making bigger and bigger machines, so you terraform more quickly, because you have to get through like a million terraforming points, and you start by like doing 10 terraforming units of productivity per minute at the start. So you need orders of magnitude to keep going up, and that's what you're sort of the tiers of equipment that you're building and why you're starting to automate things and doing all of that over time. So that's fun. And then the final bit is there's a little bit of an economics game. There's a trade rocket that you can end up building, and the trade rocket, you can fill it up with items and get trade credits for that, which you can buy special unlocks that you can only get through the trading system. And then there's an achievement, and I'm almost at this achievement. This is the last thing I'm doing in the game. I'll probably play it tonight just to finish this one. And then probably tick over just the final you left the planet. Is if you get up to 100,000 trade credits, there's an achievement. Because I'm at like 90% of the achievements on Steam, even with this game. There's like 3 hidden achievements and 3 final achievements. I'll finish the 3 final achievements. I don't know what the hidden achievements are. And I probably may not bother with those. Probably won't. I don't need to 100% the game. But I'll get, because money, I'll get the 100,000, because I set up my trade. I've got like multiple trade rockets that I could just turn the game on. In fact, if I had turned it on and just let myself die over and over, I would have hit 100K by the end of this podcast if I just let it run. Because I've got everything automated to just do it now. And the trade rockets will keep flying away automatically, and I'll get my circuit boards and my crystals, and I'll get all the money. But I kind of missed out because I haven't been spending any of it, and I could have spent some and got some fun things. So yeah, it's by the end, as I said, I've got like animals. So by the very end, it's weird also because all of the interesting stuff comes at the end. If you finally terraform the planet enough for the final phase, now you're up to mammals, right? And you set up this little shelter, and you have to do this slightly complicated system where you craft the DNA to create the animal. The animals aren't very interesting. It's not an animal game, but you can breed up with special. There's like 8 DNA sequence slots, and you can find different things to put in those slots to not only create a few different species of animal, but variations and like make them striped or make them shiny and pink. And, these sort of, you're like putting different things in the DNA slots that you can find in different ways from like maybe the insects that you've crafted or the frog eggs that you've collected. But by the time you get to that phase, you're kind of like done with that. And it might be like a fun side thing for you to craft up a fun glowing six-legged creature, Millie whale, but you don't need to, and there's no purpose to, and you can't like sell them or anything. So it's kind of too late for it. Is kind of a little bit of a downside. Same thing with all the upgrades you get by that point, and all of the final zones that you unlock. You'll unlock these the final couple zones because you've like terraformed enough, or you've gotten into these places, you've crafted the explosives, you've blown up through a couple walls you couldn't get through until the very late game. And then there's treasure chests that you get to, which is all stuff that I have no use for because I now have auto crafters just crafting that stuff endlessly. So what do I need? Anything that's in these endgame zones? Unfortunately, there's just like one or two sort of like final progression, completionist kind of things I'll bother to even pick up out of the chest, and the rest of it I'll just leave it there so I don't have to build more storage units. So I feel like, but that's kind of the challenge of any of these games. Same thing in Ark, same thing in any of the games where you sort of you get to the end and you've like mastered it, and you get to, in Ark, you get to the tech tier, and now you've got like jetpacks to fly around. You don't need it anymore because you've done everything. But that's, you still want something to work towards, and there's still a sense of satisfaction to get to it, I guess. So I wouldn't do it a different way, I don't think. It's just still surprising that you kind of like have no use for that stuff when you get to that point in these games. Unless, and this is something to look into, unless you go to another planet. And there's DLC, and sort of as you terraform your initial planet, the prime planet, apparently you can go to other planets and terraform those and keep the story alive. And maybe that's where all of your upgrades really will feel good and come into play. I don't know. I haven't sort of explored that, like the DLC or what comes after, because this is 2.0. So they've been working on it for a while, and there's that too. Still, I was compelling enough to me to play it so much that I terraformed the planet. So that's a high praise for this game.
It really is, given the sort of barrier that you had to get over in the beginning of it not being your particular graphical style.
Right. I mean, it's not like a Minecraft style, which I'm even less fond of.
But it's very bold colors, and it is kind of like, I mean, I'm probably dating myself, but like Saturday morning cartoons.
And very low poly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Low poly, sharp edges. It probably works great, especially in the very beginning. It probably works great on any hardware you might have. Everything's low poly, sharp edges, not a lot of like interesting blending of the textures and terrain, stuff that modern engines can do. But by the end game, you got like your like rockets and everything. Like all the machines have like glowy parts and animation that looks cool. The little creatures look fine. So again, it looks much better than like your first 10 hours of playing, which is a challenge. It's a challenge that they've overcome because people play it and rate it highly and like it, but it's a challenge with this kind of game. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good solution completely for what you would do about it. Well, I do have a couple solutions. One is to do, as you said, the preview. And that's probably the direction we're going to mostly go, is get the preview in the player's head so they've got the picture. Because a lot of people just in general don't have kind of like the vision. And this is why when you sell a house, you have realtors will insist on staging your house, not even like showing it just to make sure that you've got your stuff in there, but they will do like, they'll like rent new things. They will stage the house because if it's especially new construction and it's an empty house, a lot of humans have trouble visualizing, is this a place that I can even live? There's no furniture here. Well, you're not buying the furniture. The house doesn't come with furniture. You're going to put your furniture in here. Can't you envision your dining room table in this space? No, I can't.
Right.
So I won't buy this house because it's empty. But you want it to be empty so you can move your stuff in there. I know, but you need to show it to me full,
Right.
preferably with
Right.
all of my stuff how I would want it before I will buy it. So you kind of need to do that. I also so previewing it in some way with like a trailer or an intro cutscene and that kind of thing is one way to go about doing that. I think another way might be, and this could be something we could even possibly explore with Garden and a Goat, is what if the area where you landed was very tight and small, but completely terraformed. It looked really good. Like there were trees and plants and rocks. Maybe it's even just like a little, 20-foot radius, little island oasis that looks really, really good. And your job then is to make the desolate landscape that's outside of that to like spread into that. So it's pretty and nice where you are and where you start. And that then becomes the template for what you need to make everything else look like. Maybe. I don't know. It's fun. It's fun to think about.
Yeah.
Other survival games, at least the environment that you start in is all there. Subnautica. You start, you're not terraforming at all. So you start in this lush, beautiful ocean environment and you get to explore it. Ark. You start in this, vibrant jungle full of dinosaurs and you see dinosaurs walking around on the horizon. It's all there. It's all sort of like really cool. So they much less of a challenge in those kinds of survival games from that perspective.
Right.
All right. So Planet Crafters, good job. New challenges. Can't wait to see somebody really knock it out of the park in terms of making it what the thing that would grab the players both visually and environmentally, even while still having that planet crafting gameplay loop in the future. I'm sure somebody will do something really interesting and teach us all how it should work. Cool. I
wonder why they went with first person.
Definitely third person in this game. I played almost 90% of it in third person and only popped into first person. And that's a relatively new addition to the game, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so maybe this video that I keep showing is just all in first person because maybe this player likes it. This is the 2.0 content. So this player must like to play that way or be used to it. I played it all in third person. And it felt great.
Because how your character looks is, part of the whole survival shtick, I would think. Like, because you're getting new things and not necessarily the same as an MMO where you're gearing up and getting better and better gear, but something like that. Yeah. Building, making your clothing and
it's very limited in this game. You do find maybe a dozen different coveralls, spacesuit coveralls as sort of like the cosmetic thing. You find them out in the world, you discover them in the chest and stuff. So you change that and then you change your backpack and your jetpack, but that's kind of it. So there's not a lot of that. There isn't a lot of reason to see your character, unfortunately. In our game, we've resorted to cosmetic outfits to make that more interesting right from the outset, and then other wild costumes that you'll be able to unlock, like the bunny rabbit costume and that kind of thing. Because I agree, that's a fun part of it. Ours is you can't even do first person in our game because you don't need that kind of first person.
right. But you're customizing everything.
Yeah.
else.
And you
Yeah.
want to be able to see everything that's going on around the character because it's all about the animals in our game. So it's
Right.
different.
Yeah.
Different from that perspective. You want to be able to see the goat sneaking up on you to headbutt you, which it likes to do. Why did this
Try and get
person make
away.
so much storage like that? I don't have. I have
He's
like
gonna start
1/10 of the storage, and I've already terraformed the. See, they're spending too much time at the lower tiers of tech. They built like. I only built like 5 of those lower level drills. I just immediately use that to upgrade to the higher level drill. Because the higher level drill is an order of magnitude more effective. So you don't need to build 100 of the lower level drills. You build 5 that get you to the materials that you need to build the higher level drill. Anyway, I don't need to criticize this layer.
Right.
Yeah, man, they're spending too much time on the lower level tiers.
I'll play the way I want.
Gosh. Look at all those storage units. That's crazy. They're like mining the hell out of everything and just like using everything they mine to make more storage units to hold the things that they're mining to make more storage units.
Yep.
No, don't do that. Okay. One more thing I wanted to talk about today before we wrap it up. I wanted to hear what is happening in WoW. I heard you leveled up 2 more alts.
I did.
So
which is amazing.
You told me that in the pre-show. What you did not tell me, which I want to hear, is which alts and why did you pick those classes?
Okay.
So that too.
So my second alt was a hunter, and that's because my main is a
It's the
warlock.
best class there is. Okay, yes.
My main is a warlock, and I like having that buffer between me and the mobs of a pet. And yeah, so my hunter was also the next sort of, I don't know, highest gear level character from before, which doesn't really matter. So I did hunter, and then and this surprised even me, I did my Death Knight, which is a character I never leveled in my whole WoW life until this most recent remix. So that was like
Wait, what was it? What was the last one? I was typing in the chat room.
Death Knight.
Death Knight. Oh, so you took your Death Knight to 90?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And so that was because I wanted the opposite then. I wanted to have a melee character that's just always like in the face of the mob, and like I wanted to compare those two gameplay styles and see which one is really better for, like, doing a bunch of delves or farming something that I want to farm or whatever.
Yeah.
And I like them both. I think I don't know. The delves I think are easier this time around, but maybe I'm just not comparing season 1 to the old season 1, because this is season 1, and maybe season 1 delves do tend to be a little bit easier than season 2 and season 3 versions of the same delves. But anyway, so I've been doing quite a few delves, which is self-accelerating, right? Because you get more levels on your companion, who in this case is a rogue named Valera. The more levels she gets, the more she is better at everything.
Yeah.
And I recently found out that, and people have been saying this, but I just wasn't listening, that she is actually very good as a tank, which last season your delve companion was an okay tank, but really only for healing characters, because healing him was how he got his power. So if you couldn't heal him, he was very weak.
Okay.
In this one, it's a little bit different. She has her own strength, plus when she takes damage, she spawns this little ghost of herself, and you have to damage that ghost, and each time you damage that ghost, it heals her.
Okay.
So the whole time you're kind of trying to kill the mob and also looking for these ghosts so you can quickly switch targets and kill the ghost, which is, switching targets is not my strong point, so it's good for me to be practicing that. And yeah, so that's fun. And also on my DK, I'm doing really low level delves. I'm not like stretching myself. So
Yeah.
then the delve itself is like a very low key coffee and contemplation type of activity, which is fun too. And then I do like the maximum level delves on my main, which I have to pay attention and,
Yeah.
use all my cooldowns and blah 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 blah. So yeah, I've been doing that.
How about
I
the prey system? You still
um
hunting your
so like
prey?
yeah, still doing prey. Last week we got access. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? We got access to Nightmare Prey, which is a serious deal. It's easy to fail. Well, they're easy if you do everything right, but if you start making mistakes, it gets longer and longer, and the longer it goes, the more powerful your prey gets until like it when it ambushes you, it shows up and goes bloop, you're dead.
Okay.
At which point, so I don't know. It's two different activities. It's like Nightmare Prey is like the fast, focused, pay attention to everything, have all your wits about you type of activity. And then like down to these like low level delves is just sort of like a walk in the park type activity,
Yeah.
which is kind of what WoW excels at, right? It's like a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. It'll it's like the high keys, the high, the nightmare kind of stuff.
Right.
Provides the challenge for players that are looking for it, which is nice.
Yeah. So it's kind of like what we were talking about with streaks. It's like it's hard for me to let go of that. Like I should be like working my DK up so that she can do that max level, blah 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 blah. And I thought, no, I don't really have to be doing that.
Right. Right.
I'm
Well,
still
do you
distancing
not
myself.
need to be doing it? How is the group content going?
So we've had 2 nights in raid so far, and we have down, I think, 4 bosses. And we got to look at the last boss in the new raid, in the current raid. And then there's also a lair boss raid, and we got to look at that one too. Did we down that one? I can't remember. But yeah, so we're well into it. I'm sure we'll be doing heroic in a couple of weeks here, if not sooner.
Great, great, great. And what is ahead of the curve completing it on heroic? Is that the
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Which you guys always get, right?
We haven't failed it yet.
Yeah. There's no way we
And
can
I'm not
fail now.
I think this will be I don't want to jinx it, but I think because we're in season 1, it'll be easy compared to like what we were able to accomplish in season 3
Yeah.
of the end of the War Within. Anyway, fingers crossed.
Cool, cool, cool. I still haven't finished the story. I got to get in there and at least finish the story.
It's interesting and different without the add-ons that we were
Oh, in
relying
the group content. Okay.
right when we raided, and it's a lot more stress for our raid leader because a lot of things that he was depending on, he has to find new solutions for. So he's trying out new things, and he's usually tanking, and this season we have 2 different people tanking. So our long-standing tanks that have tanked together for a century are both playing DPS characters this time around for um it was lifestyle reasons, like these guys wanted to tank and these guys wanted to break, blah 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 blah. So they shifted around, and so he's raid leading from a DPS position instead of from a tanking position, so that's different too.
Right. I would prefer that, but I could also see the feel of the loss of control.
If he had his way, if Shrimp had his way, I believe what he would really like is if there was a feature where the raid leader could just watch the raid and not even be in the raid.
Yeah.
Not be at all.
I get that. That sounds
Yeah.
interesting. Just to sort of be a shot caller, to be the coxswain.
Yeah.
Kind of role. That would be cool. Get like a overhead view of the arena of where the fight's going on, and be that kind of shot caller. That would be really cool.
And what Lucy reminded me of today, since we're starting in a new month, so one of the things that a new month means, like a new calendar month, like real life month, is a new trading post, which kind of is a thing we look forward to now every month because there's all this stuff that you can buy, and you buy it with in-game currency that accumulates over time. So it's not you have to decide so that you might not have all the currency you want, but it's nothing to do with real life money. And the trading post stuff is so elaborate and fantastical that some of it is just you just have to have.
Wow, that's
So
cool.
that's a fun activity. Just checking out the trading post, and then you get like a pretty like just for playing the game by the end of the month you've earned a treasure chest, and that has cool stuff in it too. So I think the trading post in general is like a brilliant addition to the game, and
Huh.
it's for you can play however you want to play and still get cool stuff. It's not like vanilla where only one person gets cool stuff because they were the first to
Right,
hit the gong
right, exactly. Or
the
first
server.
open the gate and of Encourage or whatever.
Yeah, it's so different from that now, which people criticize it for, but I kind of love it about that. Like I
Yeah,
love that about it. Yeah.
yeah, I agree. That makes much more sense. Cool. I'm looking at the screenshots or the video here of people playing through the upcoming content and talking about what's coming next too. That's looking fun. Maybe this is what I'll play this weekend. Keep playing another stuff
Yeah.
of
I
each
mean,
next thing that I'm gonna play.
that one of the things they did is, and they did this not with midnight, it was like later in The World Within, is they made the telegraphs or the effects, spell effects, they made them a lot more obvious. So in some things that used to have like a smoky, puffy look, now look more like a rune on the ground.
I'm seeing that. I was actually noticing that out of the corner of my eye here. I don't love it from an effects perspective, but now that you're describing sort of what the purpose is and remembering that add-ons are gone,
Yeah.
that might have been handling some of that. That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I do like it because it makes it so that in much more able to like know where the edge of something is and see it happening, and yeah, I like that.
Right.
Oh yeah, Decor Duel is something that's coming up, which is a, it's an activity you can take part in where someone hides and someone has to find you, but the way you hide is you turn yourself into a piece of decor.
Yeah, that's what they're showing right now.
Yeah.
This is actually there's a game that's hot on social media feeds like Instagram Reels and stuff where you do this. So there's a whole game around this that streamers play. So
Well, that is one of the things that WoW excels at is like borrowing
grabbing
ideas from
fun
culture.
things. Yeah, so I know
Yeah.
where I know exactly where they got this from because I don't even know what the game is, but it keeps coming up whenever I go to like any like YouTube shorts or something. You shoot, you kill people in that game, so it's like a Call of Duty, but you turn yourself into and you like switch off between different props to try to hide. And then there's like even a little like Marco Polo kind of like whistle system to like get the enemy players to like at least know in the area where you are, but if you can survive the round as the decoration, you win. That's weird. Crazy that they put that in there.
What they're showing here now is the abyss anglers, which is a type of fishing where you dive into the water and then you kill the fish with spears. And this is coming also in 12.0.5, which is like April or May. And it's another thing. It's a purely cosmetic thing, like something fun to do, and as you get better at it or earn points or however it works, you get to dive deeper and deeper. And the rewards are things like mounts, toys, and of course, decor.
Well, I wouldn't think that they would need more like side things or mini games in the game, but
I
might as
don't
well.
know I guess. But it's like, yeah, when is enough? How much is enough and how much is too much? It's like,
Right.
yeah, I don't know. Like when
Because you could run
didn't
yourself into a situation where it's like, well, now that I want that mount, there's that one mount. So now I've got to like learn this whole system. I got to like every day
Yeah,
have to go
how come I
spearfishing now. My
I don't
spearfishing
have
streak.
swords that look like fish? I want
Right.
those.
Yeah, interesting.
And it's like again, it's sort of like what we were talking about earlier with streaks. It's like there is no gotta have them all in WoW anymore. I
Yeah,
mean, in my
right,
opinion,
right.
it's just so much. You can't have all
You
the pets.
you kind
You
of
can't
like
have all
can't
the
be a
mounts.
completionist anymore.
Yeah, it's a moving target. So you really maybe this is a skill that I need to learn, and I would be a happier adult person if I could just be more choosy. Like just do the stuff that I want to do
Yeah.
and acquire the
We
things that I want to acquire instead of like thinking, oh, it's acquirable, I should get it.
yeah, the joy of opting out. Didn't we
Yeah,
trademark that?
exactly. Joy. Oh
Instead
my
of
gosh.
FOMO, it
Yeah.
was Joe Joe joy
And the
of
other thing
opting
about
out.
this too is
Jew.
underwater activities are famously unpopular. So, I mean,
They give
in
you
a
a
way,
diving helmet though, I see. So
well, but it was unpopular not because of the breathing thing. It's because of, the 3D aspect of it and also the snare on your
yeah, I
move.
don't know who would like this. Plus, you're also not like using your ability. I don't like when I'm not using like my abilities and my
Yeah.
weapons and
Yeah.
my spells.
So
So now I'm like in a weird hazy 3D environment, and I only
so
get to use this spirit thing. I don't know if I would like
what
that.
I love about this is it's clearly not for everybody. It's clearly for a niche group.
What
And
I love about this is that I hate it, so I don't have
well,
to
I mean,
play it.
but the niche group is
Yeah,
not the 1% of Mythic Raiders.
right,
Like they're the niche group for everything else.
right, right. They get enough attention paid to them to you know
Right.
it's fine to make things for other people. Okay, well this is good. Makes WoW look fun as well. It's going to be a fun April. Great to have fun video games out there. Uh, so I think with that, we can wrap it up for today and maybe go play some of them or eat some food.
I have to go
So
get food.
that is it for today for us. All of the feed and subscribe links are on newoverlords.com and our videos on YouTube/newoverlords. Please come chat with us in our Discord at newoverlords.com/Discord. You can also follow on all the social networks and we will keep you up to date there too. And with that, we will talk to you soon.
Later, everyone.